Welcome back to Cozy GVO. I came across another video that I know you guys are going to enjoy. This guy got done for 15 million fraud. 15 million. I swear, you know when you hit a certain point in life, you're making money. After that, it literally makes no difference. For example, if I had 5 mil, I can build a whole homestead. I got my 2 cats, buy a little couple of farm animals. Listen, I could live well for 5 mil. I just don't understand these people, bruv. Fraud, greed. Why can't you just have some good vibes, man? Anyway, make sure you got something to eat because it's dinner time for me and I don't want to be eating alone, okay?
This influencer couple is facing a $15 million federal investigation after throwing a few too many parties and annoying their neighbors. So apparently all it took to unravel an alleged $15 million fraud case was a couple too many parties. So meet Gabriel Luther and Elizabeth Brown, a fascinating looking couple who moved into a
Hold the fuck on. Hold the fuck on. No, what the fuck is wrong with his face, bruv? What? You know what? There's good vibes only. No, seriously, what the fuck is wrong with his face, man? Why does his mustache look like he's got spray painted on, bruv? Like, it literally, everything looks fake, bruv. Fucking hell, bruv. No wonder why you needed the 15 million.
Square foot mansion in a very small and quiet community. This community is Eden Prairie in Minnesota, which essentially is a very low-key wealthy area where the biggest drama that happens there is someone forgets to mow their lawn this week and therefore the HOA starts attacking them. So when this new interesting looking couple moved right in next door in their 9,000 square foot McMansion and started hosting parties pretty much every single night with 200 people at a time, and most of the attendants were just young women, people started going, what's going on here? And one of these people were apparently Sue Donkersgood, a woman who lived across the street and is the, I guess, the queen of the HOA or the president of the community.
Oh my gosh. It was crazy.
A cinematic video of one of the ragers held at the mansion across the street brings Sue Donkergood back.
There's the money. They had the big chunks.
Does this video make you miss your neighbors?
Gosh, no.
Back to the wild times on quiet Welter's Way in Eden Prairie before filter-loving couple Gabriel Luther and Elizabeth Brown were charged in federal court.
So I guess any normal person would call her the neighborhood Karen. I feel like anyone who lives in an HOA neighborhood probably has an HOA Karen. You see, in my case, I get in trouble sometimes because, one, either I forget to roll in my trash cans early enough, or two, I don't hide them well enough behind my house. So I've been fined multiple times for that. But my trash can negligence is nothing compared to throwing ragers that last all night with 200 people.
You getting fined
in a small
for your trash can,
neighborhood.
for your trash
and it gets
can,
a little bit more odd because apparently a bunch of the women who were there at the parties, they were all wearing wedding rings. And when asked, hey, who are you with? They'd say, oh, we're married to Gabriel. And it's not 1, not 2, not 3. No, he had a whole harem of women who were all married to him. So Sue thought something was off here and decided to report him to the police. And in May of 2019, police actually started getting tips of what could be happening in the house on Welter's Way. The first call actually came from a manager at a local hair salon, where apparently the manager did the hair of multiple of these women, but they were dressed very odd. They were kind of dressed like they were going to go to a nightclub, but it was 10 in the morning on a Tuesday. And then he noticed that the elder woman there, she was basically making all the decisions for the younger women. So the hair salon manager kind of got a weird vibe from all of it and thought, hey, maybe there's some trafficking going on here. And that's why he reported it to authorities. And then there was another person who talked to the authorities because he did some work on their house. And he found a whole lot of fascinating things in the basement, including a grotto-style hot tub in the basement, a massive shower that could fit like 12 people plus, and then apparently there was like a clear like looking window, so someone could sit and watch people in that shower. So not your normal house modifications, to put it lightly. So when investigators got access to Gabriel's phone, they actually realized, oh wow, he's actually calling most of the shots here in this house. Apparently, the women there had to ask if they could eat or drink from him. In one exchange in 2018, in quote, when responding to if a woman could eat or drink, he said, yes, but you need to work out more because you have a ways to go with losing weight. So, this guy is over here policing women on how they look. So that's pretty interesting. Anyway, moving on. In January 2023, when police started searching his house, they realized that he controlled far more than just their diets. Apparently, he dictated if they could leave the house or enter the house, what they were wearing every day. Even if it was January in Minnesota, they were not allowed to wear jackets for some reason. Make it make sense. But here's where that side of the investigation hit a roadblock, because when they interviewed all the women, all of them said, no, we love being here. We want to be here. So no laws were being broken there, so they couldn't really do anything with that. So then they kind of had to close that side of the investigation and look at the financial side of the investigation, because that's where things still did not make sense. Because in just 6 months between July to December of 2021, Gabriel, he received $1.3 million, which is, that's some good money. Very good money. But how did he spend it? Well, mostly on gentlemen's clubs. He spent over $100,000 a month on gentlemen's clubs, $30,000 a month on restaurants, $5,000 a month on Tinder. How do you even spend $5,000 a month on Tinder? I thought they only had like a premium subscription thing. I've been in a relationship for like 8 years, so I haven't been out here in the trenches. So someone fill in the gaps for me on how that is even possible.
I don't know too, bro.
You get.
I've been single for the past 8 years.
Like a week, but you can also purchase in addition to that.
Oh, no way. Okay, so this dude right here is paying to have this face blasted in front of women's phones in Minnesota. Prayers to all of you guys out there. Well, while that kind of spending is unusual, inherently, there's nothing wrong with it. Where they started getting a little bit of red flags was how he bought his house, because apparently the house was passed around by a bunch of different LLCs, kind of like they were playing hot potato before he eventually moved in. So apparently every time an LLC bought this house, they resold it again after for $100,000 more. So obviously, people are like, okay, wait, why are they doing this? And also, why are all these LLCs owned by the same people?
Exactly.
AKA the people we're talking about here today. But at least now we have a picture of some of the spending here, but where is the money coming from? Well, that's where Golden Victory Medical joins the party, because that's apparently his company. And you see, there's some pretty interesting numbers here, because in 2019, their first year of operation, they filed over $16 million in claims with Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance companies. They actually received over $4 million in payouts. So at this point, Elizabeth and one other nurse were the only people actually doing services here. And it gets a little bit more interesting because Elizabeth alone was credited with 28,000 patient visits just that year. So she's a busy woman, to put it lightly. And I mean, just to put it into perspective, that means if you don't have any weekends and you work 24/7, you essentially see 76 patients every single day. But let's be real, if you've ever done any healthcare in the US, you would know that it's definitely not that streamlined, that's for sure. But I guess since they got away with that in 2019, they just kept upping those numbers. So in 2020, she reached 450 patients every single day. So apparently Elizabeth is the greatest healthcare provider or single healthcare provider in all of America, because
in
no
all of
one
history,
else can even put up numbers like that. And it gets even more confusing.
Even the
when you
UK
look at
doesn't.
December of 2020, because in 3 days she provided healthcare to 204 patients. The only problem is, if you look at her calendar, she was in Vail, Colorado then, at a resort. So apparently she saw 204 patients at her normal facility in Minnesota from Vail, Colorado. Does anyone see a problem here? I don't know. I guess she's just a really high performer. And at some point, Gabriel and Elizabeth actually hired a real CEO to come in and like run their business. And it didn't take them long to realize that over 68% of all the healthcare provided was fraudulent. So over 4 years here, you had about $14.7 million that went into GVB's business accounts. And $9.6 million of that got transferred directly into Gabriel and Elizabeth's personal accounts. And then, after 6 years investigation prompted by reports of concerned neighbors, federal prosecutors finally decided to indict Gabriel and Elizabeth for wire fraud and conspiracy in connection with allegedly stealing $15 million through healthcare fraud. So according to KARE 11, the indictment says at least 3 other women who lived in the house helped carry out the scheme, but only Gabriel and Elizabeth actually profited from it. So he allegedly had his side biddies committing fraud with him. Interesting. Both were arrested in Las Vegas and appeared in virtual court on April 30th of 2025. However, despite all of their spending, both of them claimed they were completely broke and requested taxpayer-funded attorneys to help them through this litigation. And of course, they pled not guilty. And something else that is pretty interesting is Gabriel's name wasn't always Gabriel Luther. He used to be Gabriel Langford. And if you look at Gabriel Langford, he has 3 previous fraud convictions from 2009. So in 2019, he petitioned a judge to change his name legally, claiming that he was very remorseful for what happened in his past and he just wanted to move on. But 2019 was also the year they spun up that new company, so I don't know how sorry he was. Allegedly, at least. Who knows? Maybe all of this is done by the books and she was actually seeing over 200 patients a day, even though she was in Vail, Colorado. But what's also wild is this guy who looks like this, he was very insecure about his age, and he apparently used fake IDs to show that he was in his 20s instead of his real age, which is apparently 39. And currently, Gabriel and Elizabeth, they're both in Las Vegas, and Elizabeth has somehow been allowed to run a new telehealth company called Angel Wings Wellness and Weight Loss, just as long as she doesn't bill insurance companies. That's the only thing here. So as of right now, it's unclear if they'll ever return to Minnesota. Currently, the case is moving through federal court, even though Gabriel has pleaded not guilty, and they also fired their attorney and lawyer, and Gabriel is now representing himself because they couldn't come to an agreement on their defense strategy. So that also is very interesting. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye on what happens here, because this seems like a very slow train wreck that's going to go on for a while. But other than that, if you're new here, feel free to subscribe, drop a like on this video if you enjoyed it.
I just want to say, yeah, he's carrying around a fake ID because he doesn't want, because he's ashamed of his age. Bro, by looking like that, you look like you're hiding. Like you with that fake mustache, with that fake, I swear down, you definitely look like you're in your 40s, bro. Pushing 50. There's no 20-year-old that looks like that whatsoever. I have never come across a 20-year-old that looks like that, even close to it. You know what he reminds me of? So basically, imagine, yeah, like clean shaved, everything clean shaved, yeah, and then someone gave him a glue stick and just told him, yeah, just show me how you want your beard done, and then he just drew it himself. You get it, with a glue stick, yeah, and then whatever that he made his hairline and whatnot, and then it just seems like he just dipped his head in a bucket full of hair, like literally. That's what it looks like. Anyway, that was all. Thanks for having dinner with me. My ex actually said, you're never going to get 100 subscribers. And right now I'm at 155. So, thank you for hitting that subscribe button so I can stick my middle finger up at her. I appreciate you so much. And I'll catch you on the next video. Hasta luego.